Hello, my name is Te-Li Lau. I am Associate Professor of New Testament at Trinity Evangelical Divinity School, and I am also an elder at a local church. And so my interest, that is really in terms of the cultivation of moral emotions. And I think that one of the greatest opportunity that public worship has to play is the cultivating and the nurturing of godly emotions. And it's a great opportunity because in public worship, you not only have song, you have skit, you have the preaching of the word, you have, in terms of it, it involves the totality and the completeness of an entire person. So that you're just not just engaging with the mind, but also engaging with the heart itself and also with the body itself. And so then the public worship has this great opportunity to be this vehicle for cultivating godly emotions. And things like joy, things like love, they are so easy and so natural in terms of something to cultivate. But I think that one of the challenge then, is really in terms of how do we nurture and how do we shape emotions that are sometimes seen to be negative emotions. Things like anger, things like fear, things like shame itself. Nobody likes to talk about shame itself, but Scripture talks so much about shame. In fact, the book of Psalms itself, you could say that it has the most, it's a book that really talks the most about shame. And if the Psalms, it's the prayer book, it's the guidebook for worship, I think that we can then let the Psalms basically be the means by which we can then teach the people in our church a little bit more about what does God understand shame to be, what does God understand honor to be. So the public worship setting has the ability to evoke the emotions in a person and to bring it out. But I think that it's not just the evocation of the emotions itself, but rather making sure that those emotions are evoked with the right content, that they are evoked for the right reasons. And so part of the challenge then is to try to tie the evocation of the emotions to what the Scripture talk about it, to provide ways in terms of how do we deal with the anger that we experience. If you take a look at the Atlantic magazine about 2 years back, it said that anger is the emotion that is most viscerally felt by people in this generation. And how then does the church try to address the anger that is experienced by the people in terms of trying to replace that with love? But at the same time, God is an angry God too. And so how do we then try to make sure that the people in our church express anger for the right reasons and how they might refrain from anger for when it is not for the right reasons? And so that is part of the opportunity, and that is part of the challenge in terms of public worship, in terms of how do we cultivate godly emotions in the right way. Not manipulating people, not manipulating their emotional framework, but rather constructing it, rehabilitating it, and reframing it according to Scripture. That, I think, is the most important thing going forward.